Well, even as the probe into the AMRI disaster continues, you'd expect other hospitals to wake up and shape up. Headlines Today's reporters armed with hidden cameras set out to do a reality check for you. Well, we really expected work at war footing to clean up blocked pathways, repair or at least install firefighting equipment, educate staff and patients, carry out mock drills. Sadly enough, not even the deaths of 93 people could shake the system out of their lethargy.
Stacked gas cylinders waiting to explode. Exposed mains that could trigger a tragedy anytime. Heaps of wood that could stoke another AMRI-like fire. A surefire recipe for disaster. And in case there is one, hospitals across West Bengal are nothing less than death traps. Headlines Today travelled inside these hospitals of horror to find outdated firefighting equipment, blocked exits and little care for human life. Images of the rooftop area of AMRI hospital at Salt Lake captured on Headlines Today cameras 3 days after the tragedy at AMRI Dhakuria. Believe it or not, the hospital's emergency ward shares a boundary wall with a petrol pump. In case of an emergency, it will be virtually impossible for rescue teams to enter inside the hospital from the roof.
Sources tell us that the terrace of Amri Hospital Salt Lake is full of junk and inflammable material. It should be kept clutter-free to enable emergency evacuation of patients. According to rule book, the distance between petrol pump and the hospital should be a minimum of 500 meters. Even that is flouted in this case.
We arrive at the posh Bellevue Hospital in Minto Park. The approach is narrow and congested. Wooden planks line the basement near the gas control center. There is a cafeteria just next to it. To top it all, the fire extinguisher in the basement is non-functional. This despite the hospital staff's tall claims.
Since from Friday fire, leading hospitals in Kolkata have suddenly pressed into action. All this to avoid any legal action from state authorities. Sources tell us that most hospitals were using parking lots as dump yards from several years. But this is now being controlled only as a face saver, not as an honest effort to save the lives of several patients who come here every day.
The Bardhaman Medical College is the biggest hospital in the state's western region. We were shocked to find a rusted fire extinguisher that has never been serviced. Exposed mains, wires hanging out and switchboards dangerously perched over patients. The situation is no better at the 10-story Durgapur Mission Hospital. Naked wires run across rooms, storing rows upon rows of oxygen cylinders. The kitchen is an open invitation to catastrophe. Stacked inside are gas cylinders. Having seen this with our own eyes, the GM operations sounds delusional.
We have ensured from every corner that we don't have any sort of this system. Which cafeteria to hai, lekin uske andar we have got sufficient areas where we have got the fire preventing system.
Doom and death is written in big, bold letters across these hospitals, none of which seem to be ready to deal with emergencies that may find a trigger inside their own premises due to negligence of their own authorities, and many more innocents might just end up paying with their lives again. With Manogya Loiwal and Avijit Nandi Majumdar in Kolkata, Alia Sahani, Headlines Today.
Well, 93 lives lost and still no lessons learned. Sadly enough, that's not the only story that we're talking about. It's not the story of Bengal alone. Let's also talk about the national capital. We boast of premier health institutes like AIIMS. The question now is, are Delhi's hospitals equipped to deal with a fire? Headlines Today conducted an investigation at the Deen Dayal Upadhyaya and the GTB hospital and found out that fire safety measures are not even in place. AIIMS too fails to make the cut. Atir Khan with a special investigation report.
There are no fire extinguishers on any of the 5 floors of the trauma center at Delhi's Deen Dayal Upadhyay Hospital. The hospital administration says that the cylinders have been taken to be refilled. But fire extinguishers here have been missing for the last 3 months. But the missing cylinders are not the only fire hazard.
Sources at Deen Dayal Hospital tell us that a boiler has been placed inside plastic surgery ward in the trauma block. The ward is on the 5th floor, and in case of fire, presence of a boiler would prove to be absolutely lethal.
There is also just one entry and exit to the hospital. The second exit is locked. In case of a Kolkata-like fire, one escape route will simply not be enough. At Delhi's GTB Hospital too, fire safety norms are being flouted openly. The hospital doesn't have an NOC from the fire department.
In October this year, there was a fire at ICU of Guru Tegh Bahadur Hospital because the alarm system failed to detect gas leak in the oxygen pipeline. The fire extinguishers did not work and there was absolute pandemonium. But what is surprising is, even after that incident, the fire safety measures are not in place.
A new ward with 500 beds that was inaugurated recently too doesn't have an NOC from the Delhi Fire Service. And patients are being admitted into this ward without the clearance.
इसका जो फायर डिपार्टमेंट है उससे एनओसी नहीं हुआ शुरू से ही बिल्डिंग से उसमें क्या है कुछ दिक्कतें रही या ले नहीं पाए क्या जल्दी में शिफ्ट कर लिया वो मुझे नहीं इतना आइडिया वो सारा पता किया है मैंने जो हमारे इंजीनियर्स हैं अभी पीडब्ल्यूडी वाले वो भी बता नहीं पा रहे हैं
उन्होंने कहा कि शायद एनओसी हमारे यहाँ से क्लियर भी नहीं है फायर डिपार्टमेंट में तो उनको यही कहते हैं फायर डिपार्टमेंट हैज नॉट इशूड टिल येट फॉर दिस हॉस्पिटल तो बहुत सारी कमियां हैं अगर वो कराते हैं जब एक बार चेक होगा एनओसी इशू किया जाएगा तो सारी जो है दुरुस्त करवाए बिना हम लोग एनओसी तो देते नहीं हैं
Shockingly, India's premier hospital, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, too is ill-equipped to deal with a potential fire.
You'll be surprised to know that the country's premier hospital, AIIMS, doesn't have a complete fire clearance. Sources in Delhi Fire Service say that parts of this hospital are yet to get fire clearance from them, and they have written to the hospital administration about it several times, but in vain. And you'd be shocked to know that this hospital doesn't have a trained fire safety officer.
AIIMS has now decided to put all checks in place. Director AIIMS has directed Superintendent Engineer and has passed on special instruction to immediately check all centers and buildings of AIIMS from fire safety point of view, and if need be, revamp the safety measures so that such incident could be prevented. The AMRI incident has forced the Delhi government to pull up all city hospitals.
We have told them that within 1 month's time, everything must be examined, must be checked, must be rectified, and ensure that within a period of 1 month, everything is in working order. And this should be periodically done after every 3 months.
But till all safety measures are put in place, these Delhi hospitals are ticking time bombs. With Atir Khan in Delhi, Shujoy, Headlines Today.
Well, that's exactly what the report goes to show you. Change the name of the city, the story is going to remain the same. Huge hospitals with multi-crore budgets, but not enough attention paid to basic firefighting equipment. Now, if AMRI hospital fire was mass murder, there are many more just waiting to explode.
The horrific tragedy at AMRI has sent alarm bells ringing across hospital managements in India. Headlines Today fanned out to the hospitals across the country to do a quick check on who's complying with fire safety rules and who isn't. Our investigation targeted major hospitals of Mumbai, Lucknow, Chandigarh and Jaipur. Our first stop, Bombay Hospital. Inflammable items stocked in a godown located in the basement of Mumbai's premier hospital. Adjacent to it, a kitchen and a storeroom. A fuse waiting to blow. Even more appalling, the 6-decade-old hospital has never practiced a fire drill in 60 years. Safety norms mandate fire drills be conducted every 3 to 6 months.
और बम्बई में क्योंकि इमारतें एकदम ऊंची होती हैं तो उसमें आप समझिए कि पेशेंट को नीचे लाना ये इतना आसान नहीं है। तो उस हिसाब से मतलब कितने सक्षम हैं कितना नहीं, ये तो अगर हम एक ड्रिल करें तो ही हमें मालूम पड़ सकता है कि हम किस तरह से हमारी तैयारी कैसी है।
We are right now standing in front of the Bombay Hospital, and in both two buildings you are not going to find a emergency rescue platform which the fire brigade uses in case of fire to rescue people from the hospital. There are two buildings in the hospitals and there is no such platform present. We went to the basement of the hospital and we saw many inflammable material lying there. It is being used as a godown. There is a kitchen in the basement. Also, when we travelled through the stairs in Bombay Hospital from 10th floor to the ground floor, we didn't find any single signboard indicating that this is a emergency fire exit, and if the person running on the stairs has to find some exit, he'll never be able to find such exit.
At Lucknow CSM Medical University, fire safety norms are completely non-existent.
This building behind me, the Gandhi ward of the CSM Medical University, is a classic case of a building where fire safety norms literally do not even exist. This building has just one entrance, which also serves as the only exit for a 3-storied building which has 6 wards and hundreds of patients at any point of time. There are no fire extinguishers, there are no water sprinklers, and there are no fire alarms as well in this building, and one can very well imagine what can happen if anything close to what has happened in AMRI hospital in Kolkata happens here.
Worse, the authorities seem to think this is completely okay.
परिसर बहुत बड़ा हो और विस्तृत हो, सब तरफ फैला हो, तो वहां पर जो आप बता रहे हैं आधुनिक संयंत्र कार्य नहीं कर पाते, तो वहां पर केवल लोकल उस स्थान के लिए संयंत्र रखे जा सकते हैं जो कि हमारे यहाँ वार्डों में लगे हैं। आपने कहा कुछ जगहों पर शायद कम है या कुछ बदलने जाने वाले, सीएमए साहब ने बताया है, तो अभी हम और ध्यान देंगे कि जहां पर पुराने हो गए हैं, प्रयोग में नहीं आए, उनको फिर से बदलवा देंगे क्योंकि कब उनकी आवश्यकता पड़ जाए कोई नहीं जानता।
For a premier medical institute like the PGI, the fire safety standards do seem to be appalling. We could not find a single fire hose in the dozens of fire hydrants which we inspected inside the hospital. In case of a fire, this mistake could prove costly.
We are here at the Jayadeva Hospital, which is a specialty hospital when it comes to cardiology. Thousands of patients visit this hospital. When we did a recce and went into the hospital to see the arrangements in case a fire breaks out in the hospital, we did find that most places the fire extinguishers were there in most of the floors. But when it came to the fire exits, though there were boards that showed where the fire exit was, the fire exits were either latched or there were visitors' chairs across that. People were sitting on it and they were unaware that that was a fire exit. Also, though there were fire extinguishers in most places, how many people have gone through the drill and how many people can actually save lives, and with the staircases which are pretty narrow, how many of them can escape? That is the big question here.
Our last stop was the Pink City, Jaipur's premier hospital, Savai Mansingh. This magnificently built hospital lacks the most basic firefighting equipment, and authorities are unapologetic, claiming they will put things in order soon.
Clearly fine, and I support your view that there should be more cylinders and more safety measures than it is existing, and within no time we are going to do it.
These are just a handful of the country's most prominent hospitals. If this is the state they are in, one shudders to think what could be the state of preparedness in smaller hospitals across our towns and cities. Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Well, let's just hope even now that hospital authorities, hospital administrations wake up to this threat around them and do something about it. With that, a quick break here in Breaking at 10. Coming up next.